Phillip Jackson, we have a new mayor in Chicago, Rahm Emanuel. We're taping this, what is this, the 1st of March? Have you talked to Mr. Emanuel yet? I mean, Mayor-elect Emanuel?
I have not talked to Mayor-elect Emanuel yet. We look forward to working with Mayor Emanuel. The problems of Chicago didn't change the day after the election. They were here before the election. They were here 3 years ago, and they're going to be here 3 years, for 10 years from now, unless we do certain things. So I'm looking forward to working with Mayor Emanuel, Governor Quinn, President Obama, or anyone who wants to help fix the problems in my community.
You worked with Mayor-elect Emanuel at the CHA, right?
I did.
You were number one.
Well, I was the CEO of the CHA, and current Mayor-elect Emanuel was on the board of directors.
I say that because as a citizen, I care about education. You do too. Can we? I heard a beep. Okay. What beep is that? That was you? I heard a beep. I'm freaking out. Seriously, I met him once. I met Emanuel twice. Mr. Mayor-elect Emanuel twice. Can we work with him as a community?
Oh, we can work with him. We can work with anybody. In fact, we had better work with him as a community.
I mean, so I'm saying, should we go? I mean, before he becomes mayor, really, this is going to air in April. So, before he becomes mayor and after he becomes mayor, we have to go to him and say, "Hey, this is what we want."
Well, actually, we should have been doing that with the president as well, which we haven't been doing. In a way, President Obama has been getting a pass from the black community because he's black. Nobody gets a pass from us. As long as the blood of our children is running in the streets of Chicago, in the streets of America, nobody gets a pass. And that includes President Obama, Mayor-elect Emanuel, Governor Quinn, and especially these black leaders. Nobody gets a pass.
Well, you just said it. You have Rahm Emanuel, he came from Washington, D.C. Barack Obama left us and went to Washington, D.C., and he took Arne Duncan with him. You would think the schools, we wouldn't have any problems with Mayor Emanuel, Arne Duncan, and Barack Obama. President Barack Obama.
The truth is, these are our problems. We're expecting someone else to solve our problems, and we have been severely disappointed. See, the issue with my people is, today they're waiting on Superman. Yesterday they was waiting on Batman. Last month they was waiting on Spider-Man. Last year they were waiting on the Lone Ranger. 5 years ago they were waiting on the Cisco Kid. 10 years ago they was waiting on Minnie Mouse. My people are waiting. And the truth is, nobody's coming to save us but us. And so if we want our children to be properly educated, then we have got to create the structures that are going to do it. It's not going to happen because anybody becomes the mayor, or because anyone becomes the president, or because anyone becomes the new Secretary of Education. If we don't change, if the parents don't take control of the education of their children, if community members don't take control of the streets, then there's nobody who can help us. It doesn't matter who the mayor is. It doesn't matter who the president is. At this point, what matters is who we are. And that's a conversation that we're running away from.
I hate to sound negative, but I really believe the majority of African Americans, and this, I'm not, the other communities, I know they have their own issues, but for us, the so-called African Americans, I don't think the majority of us really care about our children's education.
And you might be right. You
might, consumed with the travails of life.
When you say care, though, that's got to be put in perspective, because I think that most people have some level of caring about their children's education. But if you're saying that most African Americans either don't know how to impact their children's education or have decided not to actively participate, I agree with you 100%. But then again, when you say care, I think that sometimes people cannot participate, but they do care. But sometimes they're afraid. Sometimes they're afraid of what they don't know. They're afraid of their own failure. And so I don't want to be that harsh to say that most African Americans don't care. I will say that most African Americans are not engaged, are not participating, are not doing what it takes to properly educate our children, and that's what we are here for at Black Star, to engage parents, to get them involved. It's war. It's war.
Phillip Jackson, you be the good cop and I'll be the bad cop. And that's what I do. There you go. I'm the bad cop. I'll be the bad cop. But seriously, Phillip Jackson, Rahm Emanuel and his wife would not tolerate their children receiving C's and D's, right?
I don't know. When you say it, I can imagine that they wouldn't tolerate it, that President Obama wouldn't tolerate it, that Arne Duncan wouldn't tolerate it. I can imagine that.
Your grandchildren, you wouldn't allow them to get C's and D's, would you? Your grandchildren.
I wouldn't allow my next door neighbor to get seasoned. I wouldn't allow these young men in this room. There are about 15, 20 young men in the room. I won't tolerate it from them. I don't even know their names, and I'm not going to tolerate it.
You have a mentoring program in the background.
There is a mentoring program going on as we speak. Yeah. All young men. And I don't tolerate C's and D's from them. Period.
So why do some parents tolerate their children getting C's and D's?
Yeah, and Mark, I cannot.
And F's.
I cannot answer for other people. I can absolutely answer for me. And let me tell you what we're doing to try and enlighten other parents. What we're doing to try and have those parents do exactly what you say, to raise their standards, to raise their levels of what is good for their children. And once that's done, we won't be having this conversation about what some parents will tolerate, what some won't, about good cop, bad cop, because what's really important here is that black parents get into action guaranteeing that their children are going to be properly educated. Now, if they don't know something, then come on to Black Star and we can learn it. If they're having obstacles in the schools, don't run up in here saying, my teacher don't like my son. That's not our interest, whether your teacher likes your son. Our interest is, are you working in a team fashion with school, with community, with church to guarantee the best academic and social outcomes and spiritual outcomes for your child? That's the conversation we want to have. We don't want to have the conversation, the school is mean, the school is bad. The school might be mean. But our issue is, what are we doing? What are you doing to guarantee that your child is going to be able to become a global citizen, to be a productive American, to add value to your community, a good father? Those are the conversations that we want to have.
Well, Phil, why do you think some parents tolerate, and I have to say it again, why do you think, let's break it down, why do you think some, and mainly the mamas and the grandmamas, why do they tolerate their children receiving C's, D's, and F's? Definitely a D and F, come on.
I believe a major part of the issue is that the media in the black community has basically programmed these parents or these mothers, and they're parents, but they're mostly mothers, but they've been programmed to accept mediocrity and failure from their children. I mean, it's not like this is something brand new. If you talk to any young man and ask him, what is his interest? Well, he's interested in video games. He's interested in the game last night. Who won the game? He's interested in young girls. That's programming. And unless adults take over whatever that programming is for our young people, then we can't control it. And that's what's happening here. We're not controlling this stuff. The media is telling our young people, that black young people, that being smart is not important. And in fact, being smart is tantamount to being white. And so what it is incumbent upon us to do is to take control of the education of our children. Now that's the magic word, and that scares a lot of people. Because I'm not asking for someone to give us control of the education of our children. I'm not asking permission to educate our children. I'm saying we should take control of the education of our children. And right now, too many black people feel inferior. They feel as though, well, I don't have that potential. I don't have that capability of taking control of the education of my children. Therefore, I'm going to leave it up to the school. And the school, God bless schools. I love teachers. Principals are my heroes. But schools by themselves cannot educate your child. And if that's all you're doing to educate your child is sending them to the school, then you are a major part of the problem.
Well, and that's what a lot of us do. A lot of us just send our children to school.
Won't work. Hasn't worked and will never work if that's all you're doing.
Do you think a lot of parents, you know, I'm an older parent, I'm 48, so I'm not intimidated by the teachers. As I get older, I'm much older than the teachers, so I'm not intimidated by a teacher. But some parents are intimidated by the teacher. They're intimidated by the principal. Should they call you as an advocate? To advocate for them?
What they should do, and especially the women out there, they should take a note from the Chinese. Chinese parents have this concept called tiger mother. And what these tiger mothers are, they are ferocious when it comes to the education of their children. Number one, they push their children harder and more than anybody else. And number two, if anybody gets in the way of educating a Chinese child, look out for tiger mother, because she's coming. And that's what we should be learning. Now for our parents, maybe it's not tiger mother. Maybe we bear mama. I don't know if you ever seen a bear when somebody's messing with her cubs. A bear will kill everything in a half-mile radius if you bother her cubs. Well, that's what I'm saying we should, and I'm not saying kill, but I am saying that African American parents should have that mentality. You will not mess with my children. You won't touch my children. You won't hurt my children, and you will help me educate my children. So those are the kind of attitudes that African Americans have to develop. We absolutely don't have them. When it comes to education, we are passive. When it comes to education, African American parents are punks. And so we're going to have to become beasts when it comes to the education of our children. We're going to have to go Egypt on some of these people when it comes to the education of our children. But right now, we won't even go to the polls here in Chicago.
And vote.
And vote. Even if the poll is downstairs from your house, we're not going for the most part.
So maybe the hopelessness is taking over. I think most of us do not really push education at home because we're just hopeless. A lot of us, not all of us, a lot of us African Americans are hopeless. That's where the church come in. What is the church doing?
Well,
the religious leaders. What are they doing?
When you talk about hopelessness, Mr. Sims,
yeah.
I have not drank the Kool-Aid. So
you ain't been to Inglewood or West Inglewood.
I have not drank the Kool-Aid.
But you've been to Robeson.
Nor is it.
You've been to some of them tougher schools, man.
Nor is it my intention to drink the Kool-Aid. And so what I believe is infection theory.
Okay.
And so when you look at a place like Egypt, in Egypt we had 16, 17, 18-year-old boys who created a revolution that is spreading around the world. And now it's in Bahrain, it's in Iran, it's in Libya, it's in Tunis. And these were some little boys on Facebook who said, you know what? We're tired of having somebody's foot on our necks. And they created a revolution. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a parent revolution here in America. I'm talking about a black parent revolution. The only way that we are going to get somebody's foot off of our necks as black people and as black parents is that we're going to have to go Egypt